So I didn't train with the girls, but I got better with the boys. And I think it goes a long way just to train against the boys. I remember when I first joined the Olympic rugby team in 2015, I was the kid doing hill sprints on our off day. I just got really into fitness early on, and so much that I was named the fittest cadet in my class at West Point and have never lost a fitness test on the national team.
Welcome to Athlete Actually, the women's sports podcast where we ask the questions athletes actually want to answer. I'm Elizabeth Montavan, a professional water skier and marketing strategist, and this show is produced by Parity, a women's sports marketing and sponsorship consultancy. Welcome to this episode of Athlete Actually. I'm your host, Elizabeth Montavan, and today I'm joined by Nicole Heavirland, an Olympic rugby player for Team USA and one of the leaders of the U.S. Women's Sevens program. Nicole didn't grow up playing rugby. She found the sport at 15 after years of competing in football, wrestling, and basketball, always drawn to the physical side of sport, but never quite fitting the traditional path. It was on the pitch at the U.S. Military Academy where something clicked. Within a few years, she had earned All-American honors, made her way onto the national team, and eventually onto the Olympic stage in Tokyo. Now a three-time Olympian, she's since built a career around competing at the highest levels of both sevens and 15s, known for her intensity, versatility, and the edge she brings to every team that she's a part of. This season of Athlete Actually is presented by DNA Vibe. DNA Vibe is a new category of wearable regenerative technology designed to support the body's natural recovery processes, trusted by athletes, trainers, and high performers who are redefining what strength, recovery, and longevity look like. DNA Vibe's patented wearable devices combine non-thermal red and near-infrared light, micromagnetic signaling, and microvibration to work in harmony with the body's natural processes to support circulation, comfort, and overall well-being, helping you move better, recover smarter, and stay in the game. If you're training hard or simply want to feel and perform your best, you can learn more at dnavibe.com/recovery. Before we dive into today's conversation, I want to start with On Our Radar, one thing from the world of women's sports that's caught our attention. Here's the headline. Ally Financial has officially hit its 50-50 media pledge, achieving equal ad spend across men's and women's sports, a full year ahead of schedule. The context? When Ally launched this initiative in 2022, only about 10% of their sports media budget went towards women's sports. They've since increased that more than 4.5 times, helping drive everything from primetime broadcasts to record sponsorship deals and new league visibility. And importantly, this wasn't just a values play. Their brand value is up 40%, and trust among women's sports fans has significantly increased. My takeaway? This is what it looks like when a brand doesn't just show up for a moment, but commits to building the ecosystem. And it reinforces something we see every day. When brands invest in women athletes and women's sports the right way, the return follows. So that is what's on our radar, and this is Nicole Heavirland. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
You have so many sports stories. I already know it because you're such a multi-sport athlete. But before we get into all the good stuff, what have you been up to lately?
Yeah, so I have been on the Olympic rugby team for 10 years. I was based in Chula Vista, California, all of my 20s. And then last spring, I started transitioning out of rugby a little bit and most recently got my Achilles surgery in December. I had some chronic partial Achilles tear that I needed to take care of.
Yeah.
And that brought me to Colorado Springs. And right now I'm currently in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center where I'm doing most of my rehab every day, in the PT room, doing exercises, lifting, conditioning. And while I was recovering, my dad was like, you need to get into the shooting range. And I was like, why? He's like, because you're going to be good at it. And that's what he said about rugby. So I was like, I got to listen to him. And I got into the shooting range with my boot on and my scooter and met the national team coach, Anthony. And he's like, you're kind of good at this. Like, would you be serious about this? I was like, yeah, I've been shooting, started taking it seriously in February. So I'm in the range about 3 hours a day shooting air pistol, which is 10 meters away from the target, and then sport pistol, which is 25 meters from the target, and that's your .22 caliber pistol.
Okay, wow. So we're talking about Nicole Heavirland, like career. Would this be like 2.0 or 3.0 for you looking at a new Olympic sport? I mean, how many amazing careers do you have in you?
Well, it's weird because like I went to college for basketball
Yeah.
and then transitioned to rugby at West Point, like after one semester, and then got on the Olympic team for rugby. And so rugby for 10 years. I don't know. It sounds like it feels like 3.0, but also like maybe 4.0 if you're talking like the number of Olympics I could be going to.
I mean, I think what's cool, I mean, that's like such a humble brag is like you're potentially looking at a 4.0 version of your career. Most athletes don't even make it to 2.0. So this is a very cool moment for us. But wait, I want to back up. How is your rehab going? Achilles is a gnarly, gnarly injury.
Yeah, I'm kind of an extremist. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So it makes sense that I did the Achilles.
Yeah.
I'm one of those players who can like go for days. Like I don't want to stop. My endurance is pretty high. So I put my Achilles to the ringer. I first felt it in like 2017, but like as a young Nicole, you're like, I can keep pushing through with, physical therapy. And it got to a point where when I broke my leg 6 months before the Paris Olympics, I broke my left leg. That's when my right Achilles really took a beating because it was compensating. And ever since that, when I broke my leg in Australia, that was when the Achilles really took a toll. And the rehab is it's fantastic. I have the best resources possible here. Like you got the pool if I want to go like get some extra conditioning in. I've got an amazing strength and conditioning room, coaches there 24/7 to like help you out. My physical therapist, Kelsey, is amazing. She's been to multiple Olympics. I have a sports psych who like I see and talk to every week. So I'm very lucky. Shockwave has been helping a lot, and I just finished probably like my 10th run on the treadmill, and we're making moves. So
Wow, we love to hear that. And I love that you've got kind of like the total team behind you. I know that's exactly what you'd expect out of the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center, but really happy to hear that you're recovering quickly.
yeah.
I know that like the question on everybody's mind that everybody's been loving about our special show is these untold stories around sports. And I know you have a lot of them because your career has been so extensive so far and there's so much on the horizon for you. So without further ado, Nicole, what is the story that no one's ever asked you about?
Well, I'd like to take it back to when I was in 4th grade, and I think this is one of the most pivotal stories and moments of my life that has kind of geared me towards, who Nicole Heavirland is. When I was in 3rd grade, I watched my brothers wrestle. So my dad was the coach. I went to every like competition and watched from the stands. And then when I was in 4th grade, I got to wrestle. Not a lot of women, not a lot of little girls were wrestling. But I remember my first competition, and it was in Whitefish, Montana, where I grew up. And the first match was this, I'll never forget what he looked like, but he was this tall, blonde boy, and he beat the living crap out of me. And he cross-faced me like within seconds, gave me a bloody nose, and I was crying. And I was crying on the bleachers of the gym alone, and my dad and my coach at the time came up to me and he's like, Nicole, you don't ever have to wrestle again if you don't want to. And I was like still crying, and he left me there just alone, bloody, with tears in my eyes. And eventually, the blood dried up and the tears dried up, and I went to him and I was like, I want to wrestle again. And every boy I faced the rest of the day, like I pinned. I wasn't like angry. I was just like, I'm not going to let that happen again though to me. And then the last match of the tournament, it was the same boy who beat the living crap out of me in the first match. And my dad looked at me and was like, remember what he did to you and go do it to him. And I I beat the living crap out of him. And I mean, I think my dad, he's just like, he knew exactly what to say to me. And it wasn't like he wasn't like coddling me. He like let me make my own decisions, and he knew how to like get the fire underneath me. And like, that's how I was raised. Like I wasn't raised like a little girl. I was just kind of like along for the ride with my brothers. And I really appreciate that. And I think that really geared me towards, obviously like with my wrestling, and I played tackle football, like that background only helped and elevated my journey to rugby. So I think like there's just so many ways to raise a kid, and like I think my parents did it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, rugby is obviously there's so much physicality to that sport, and playing tackle football and wrestling. I mean, that's perfect training grounds for a sport like rugby, I can imagine. It's interesting to hear you say that you really can see how the way you were raised impacts your like your mindset towards sport today. I feel similarly. My parents didn't really raise me to notice the difference between men and women and opportunities. I always thought if men can do it, obviously women can do it too. And so I always believed that about sport. Would you say some of that is true for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think so. Like, and the story continues. Like, with when I joined the rugby team, I watched my brothers play the first year, and then the second year, my dad said, "You're gonna play rugby," and there wasn't enough females to like form a women's team, so I was just practicing with the boys day in, day out. And like when tournament time came, I would join like a Missoula, Montana team, which is a city like 2 hours away from where I grew up. So I like didn't train with the girls, but I got better with the boys and like, beat up on them. And I think it goes a long way just like to train against the boys, and that's where your standards are. And for sure, that's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, like, we want more opportunity for women and girls in sport. Naturally, it would be in a perfect world, every girl would have access to a rugby team if she wanted to play. But I can see the advantage of playing against boys and men. If they're bigger and stronger than you have to get bigger and stronger. Have you used that experience in other sports that you have experimented with so far?
Not so much. I wouldn't say so. I mean, rugby and basketball have been my main, sports. My twin brother, growing up with the twin brother helped a lot because I think you always have someone to compete against. And one time we were playing like basketball in the driveway, and I was elbowing him because I'm so competitive. And like after the game, he was like, "I'm never playing basketball with you again," and like he meant it. He was like, "You're so mean." So, like, I don't know. I think that was one contributing factor, like, having a twin brother. He has the biggest heart, and I feel so bad, but yeah, he
It's like
helped
a
me with
badge
my
of
career.
honor, though,
Yeah,
when you can beat up on I have a little brother, and when you can beat up on a brother and you come
yeah.
out on top, it kind of feels good. You discovered rugby around 15, right? You were 15 years
Mhm.
old. So talk me through how you go from discovering this sport in your teens to full-on Olympian.
Yeah, I think so. Rugby was, yeah, discovered when I was 15, but my true love was basketball. And one moment along my like high school career, someone said, "You're too short to play Division I basketball," and I was like, "I'm gonna prove you wrong." And one of my coaches, my sophomore year in high school, was like, "Okay, if you want to play Division I basketball, make 100 shots a day." And I literally took that to the grave. Like, I was in before classes, if that's how I could do it. I was in during lunch. I was during after the school hours. I got so close with the janitors because they would let me in at like 5 in the morning. Like, I knew them by name because I just wanted to play Division I basketball. So I got, the shooting guard where you like spits the ball around the circumference of the court. I would sit on like around like the free throw line and just put my AirPods in or whatever. I guess they were the string ones back then and just like tuck it
Yeah,
in the sports bra.
back in
But
the day.
yeah, back in the day. Just like shoot. And I got so good at that. I made 97 shots in a row without missing. And I share that story because that's the mentality I took into everything moving forward, whether it was like schoolwork, obviously basketball, and then into the Olympic rugby like worlds. And people like, I've gotten this question before, like, "Are you sad that basketball didn't work out?" Because I did leave the team after a semester, and I said no, because that was like the work ethic I carried into rugby. And with rugby, it was like staying after practice and making sure I was the best kicker on the team or best kicker in the world, and reps after reps, and just not settling for anything less. Yeah, I think that was my most like that work ethic is just that's how I get to where I want to go, is putting in the work and the hours.
It's crazy to think that these hallmark accomplishments of your career, in a lot of ways, it comes back to you spending time alone on a basketball court.
Yeah, it does. And I like am now like in the range, and it's time alone in the range, putting in the work and the hours. And at the end of the day, it takes time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every sport requires a certain amount of reps, and there's just no way around that hard work.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Tokyo.
Tokyo was fun. Obviously, it was the COVID Olympics, which is like not ideal because you want all your friends and family to be there, but they weren't. And running into an empty stadium was kind of eerie.
Yeah.
But that was like probably the peak of my career in terms of like my coach and I really were connected. I had captained under him and I played every minute of every game in Tokyo and I never even saw what the bench looked like. So it was a really fun experience and actually like you could say a very special Olympics because there probably won't be another one like it with COVID.
You're not the first athlete I've spoken to on the show about the Tokyo Olympics specifically, and that experience of you are possibly at the peak of your career, depending on where you're at in your athletic journey, and there's nobody there. And of
Yeah.
course, that's not reflective of you and your skill and the importance of the moment. It's just this weird time in the world that we were all living in.
hmm
Did it affect you mentally?
I'd say the buildup was really hard because when ultimately we were like, hey, if you want to go to the Olympics, don't have a social life because you could not get COVID. So we like literally just ate and breathed rugby. And that was so unhealthy for us.
Yeah.
Like you need an outside life. You need to feel like you're not just athlete. So I think that took a toll on us in a way because it was going to training, hanging out with your teammates at training, and then going home and then repeat. It's like on the weekends being like, no, I can't go out and about. And it was like ultimately a sacrifice. And you make a lot of sacrifices for the sport and the Olympics. Yeah, that was a big one that I think was a little unhealthy for all of us.
Yeah. I would imagine for you, and tell me if I'm wrong, because you are so good at putting in the reps and doing the work kind of at all costs, maybe for you that wasn't the hardest to stay focused and just keep showing up and kind of like, lather, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
But I could see how that would definitely get to certain types of people.
Yeah, 100%. Like some people thrive on social environments and social engagements, but I don't know. I think as I like continue on this journey with being like the fourth round, it's like you really do have to be something other than just your sport or you're going to go crazy. I think back then it was like, I want to be an Olympian. I want to do this. I want to like you'll give up anything, but I think as you get older and more used to the journey, it's like let's enjoy it, the ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much a huge proponent of that messaging that sport is a marathon, not a sprint. Unless you're a
Yeah.
sprinter, then it's definitely a sprint.
Yeah.
But you looking at your fourth Olympic cycle, right? LA 28 would be your fourth.
Mhm.
In all the experience you have under your belt now, what new parts of yourself have you discovered in this journey?
I like that. I like that question. I mean, there's a lot of things I could say. I mean, I remember when I first joined the Olympic rugby team in 2015, like I was the kid doing hill sprints on our off day. And I'm like, that is not me anymore. I love an off day. I love not doing anything physically, mentally. Don't even talk to me about like any of the sports. Like Wednesdays, sacred. Sundays, sacred. So like, I think it's really good to get to that point in your career where you really utilize off days and you're really confident in that's super important because the reasons why like you do those hill sprints on the off days is like you're not confident in like the who's structuring your workouts or the journey itself. Yeah, and then also just enjoying that journey. Like at the end of the day, all I can do is just my best every day, and that's all I can do. Like I can't control the outcome, so kind of just like truly enjoying the ride. Like at the Olympic Training Center here, I'm amongst a lot of younger athletes who have never been to the games. And I just want to shake them and be like, enjoy it. Like you're here for a reason. They believe in you. They trust you. Like now just like enjoy it. But like it's harder. It's easier said than done. And cause if your main focus is just to get to the Olympics and compete, it's going to feel like a very quick field trip and it's going to be over with. I've also started to learn more about myself in terms of like this new pistol shooting. It's like almost 90% mental.
Mm,
So it's like kind of being more patient with myself, asking for help actually too.
yeah.
I cannot do this alone. Like it's going to take the dietitians, it's going to take the chefs in the kitchen, it's going to take my sports psych and my strength and conditioning coach. Like I need everyone to do this fourth round. So
Yeah,
asking for
absolutely.
help and not being afraid to ask for help.
Okay, so I have two questions for you out of that. So, firstly, the people you're surrounded with who, help make you great. Every athlete has those people. Is there anything about your circle that has changed dramatically over these multiple Olympic cycles?
Changed dramatically. I didn't say so. I think my parents my whole entire family are big supporters I call my dad and my mom for advice still to this day about like certain things with the Olympics and in training. And then I've been fortunate to speak to the same sports site since 2015. He's like a legend. Yeah. I'm
That's
so
so
grateful to
cool.
still have him in my corner. Yeah. He knows like everything about me. And then it's funny, like the mentality I bring into these environments is walk into a room because you never knowing that you might walk into a room like with the purpose of like you never know who you might meet. And I'm coming across people I met in 2016 Olympics and they're helping me along the way, you know? It's like you just never know. I'd say like this community is kind of small too in a way. Like, there's a lot of conferences that happen in Colorado Springs because the hub for the Olympics. So I'm just coming across people who I met in, like I said, like 2016. Really cool environment. I'd say I do miss my rugby teammates. I'm not training with them day in, day out anymore. They're still in Chula Vista. I am kind of getting closer to other Olympic athletes like wrestlers, boxers. You got crew that comes here every once in a while, swimming, triathletes, cyclists.
Yeah.
I'd say my like circle of that has changed a little bit, but
I also wanted to touch back on when you said that pistol is like 90% mental. Would you say that like that's the most mental sport you've tried to date?
yes, yeah, it's insane. It's like, I mean, I want people to know that that sport is not easy. Holy crap. Yeah. Like you think, oh, we could do it. It's not physically challenging. Like I could probably do it. No, like you try. You
Yeah.
try hitting a 10. So a 10.9 is perfect. It's a bullseye.
Okay.
And for air pistol, it's about the size of the end of an eraser. And you're trying
Oh
to
my
do
God.
that over and over and over and over. And like I've done practice matches and I get nervous. Like I'm running out of the field. Like I'm in the tunnel running out to the rugby pitch. Like the nerves are there and you just have to, it's just going back to your routine and your process.
Are you an athlete who like you actually enjoy the nerves a little bit?
This episode of Athlete Actually is supported by Sport Certified Powered by iHerb, a collection of supplements rigorously tested for quality, purity, and performance. For athletes, what you put in your body matters. Sport Certified Powered by iHerb products are tested to meet strict standards, giving you confidence that what's on the label is what's in the bottle. From protein and hydration to essential vitamins and recovery support, their lineup is built for active lifestyles. You can explore the full Sport Certified collection at sportcertified.com.
I love them. Like,
I thought so.
yeah. There was this time we were like lined up against like Team Jamaica in Pan American Games. And I was like, I'm not nervous. This is scary. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, I want to be nervous. I'd rather play in Australia or New Zealand with best teams in the world because that's when you play your best. So I think nerves are great. And I think that's how you perform your best. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I would totally second that. So actually last year at World Championships, I made the finals and in the finals I had no nerves and I was like, this is great. I'm probably going to do really well because in practice I don't have nerves. Did terribly. Grateful to make the finals, but I skied so bad. And that was like, that showed me that like the nerves mean you care. The nerve mean something matters here.
Yeah.
And I also think just like physiologically, like that little bit of adrenaline makes your brain sharper. And so, yeah, that was a bad call on our part to chase like this uber calm berth into finals. Did not work for me. So thank you for validating that my strategy wasn't quite right.
I will say though, like with pistol, this is something I'm working on. It's like, what energy do I want to have going into the match? It's like, I've tried up here, didn't work. I've tried down here and it didn't work. So it's like, how do I get to here every single time? And that's what I'm working on, that energy system.
That's cool. I love that you have found like a new part of sport to explore. I think like there's, you probably know athletes where it seems like they're kind of just doing the same thing over and over again and they've lost like that love and that curiosity for sport. And something I admire about you is you're always finding a new way to grow yourself through sport. And you still get the nerves and that's like what makes it special.
Yeah. No, it's super special. I'm super grateful to be here and the opportunity to train.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we've actually chatted about it in depth yet, but I know you have been experimenting with flag football, which is kind of it's not a new sport, but it's certainly new to the US and how much the US is like really embracing it on a national level. We're hearing about high school programs, we're hearing about college programs, and now, it's involved in LA 28. Tell me a little bit about your perspective on flag versus tackle. You have a very unique athletic background, and so your perspective is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I wasn't healthy to put my hand up for the 2026 season with them. I talked to the staff and they're interested in me, and I have yet to meet any of the girls, follow a lot of them on Instagram, but I think it's super cool. I think US is going to pull out a medal, and it's going to be really fun to see whether I'm a part of that or not. But yeah, it's just like, why not? Why not bring that to LA 2028? That's so fitting for us in America.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that it's in the Olympics and that we get to show like the world, a little bit more about football. And I like the idea that it's not tackle. As a 31-year-old, I'm like, I've destroyed my body enough.
Yeah.
So I'm like one of those rugby players who one of my teammates was like, Nicole, you like to put your head where people don't even like to put their feet. So I get down in there. So I've been thankful not to have too many, any serious hits to the head. So I'm very thankful for that. But a lot of broken bones and stitches and black eyes and bloody noses. I continue to get bloody noses to this day because my nose is just like seen it all. And I've gotten my nose cauterized like probably 10 times and it just still bleeds. So
Your nose is like, I'm ready. I'm on demand. Do you want me to bleed right now?
Yeah.
I can go.
And it's so annoying to be in a rugby game and your nose is bleeding because they'll take you out and you're like, I don't want to go out. I want to keep playing. But like, it's because of the blood,
Really?
Yeah, they don't want other people to have blood on their jerseys, I guess. Silly.
I've always thought that's like one of the coolest parts about watching rugby is you guys are all like dirty and bloody, and it's like, it's cool and gritty. I love that. I did not realize that. Wow. All right. Well, you need to have a conversation with your nose.
I know.
Because we can't be getting pulled out of the game.
She had a bloody nose today on the Stairmaster. I was like, sick.
On the Stairmaster.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
You know what? I'm going to take that as you just Stairmastered as hard as you possibly could. And there's a new standard for how to Stairmaster.
Exactly.
No, I agree with you that a flag coming to LA 28 is really good to showcase American football on the world stage. I also love that because flag is obviously there's less physicality to it. I think it's going to be much more approachable for young girls and women who are interested in the game, but maybe that part is intimidating or they're just not quite ready to learn that part of it yet. So I really hope that it's another avenue to grow young girls in sport.
I agree. I think it will be for sure. But I also do want to say there's a position for everyone in rugby. Whether you're tall, short, skinny, fast, the rugby team will have you. So when they're ready,
that's very cool to hear. Yeah, so in water skiing, like there's all body types. There's a part of skiing for every body type, and there's no like uniform like, oh, you look like that, you're going to be really good at this event. Mm-hmm. And I guess I didn't realize that rugby is a little bit like that.
Yeah, especially like when you get to your college level, like those coaches are looking for those athletes who get cut from other sports. Like, go join the rugby team because they would love to have you. And like, it's I've never been a part of such an amazing culture because what other sport do you like go to battle with your opposition and then you you share a meal together at the end of it, and like if you're old enough, share a drink, right? It's like the culture is very respectful and unique, and like you don't do that with a lot of sports.
Yeah, that's I really admire that because you're right, that doesn't happen in a lot of sports for sure. And then especially individual sports, it's a whole nother level of not always the best culture and chemistry, I'll say. So I love that not only do you have that in a team sport like rugby, but from team to team, it sounds like there's a lot of respect and you get along really well.
Yeah.
I would love to know from you, because you've had such an extensive professional athletic background so far, and there's more to come on the horizon for you. What would you tell any young girl who's pursuing any sport? Because you have had this not super linear path, but you've accomplished so much. What guidance would you give young athletes?
I think a couple things. Like, I think one thing that I am very grateful that I learned early on in my life was just controlling like your fitness. Like I really value my fitness, and I gotta contribute that to my mom. She she took me on these like trail runs, like 5 minutes from our house in Montana, and she beat me every single day, like for years. She is so fit. She can run for days. And like that motivated me. I was like, I want to beat you. So I just got really into fitness early on, and so much that I was named the fittest cadet in my class at West Point, and I've never lost a fitness test on the national team. And I swear it's those trails in Montana and my mom, and she also instilled a lot of like, like healthier eating in our lives. So much to like when we left home, like I was making decisions to like, eat the salad versus the burger and the pizza. Like because it made me feel good. And I think just you can always be fitter is one thing that like I would share to anyone who's trying to play at an elite level. And also like your sport is going to be a lot more fun when you are fit. So that's something you can control and beat up on the boys, right? Like go play against the boys.
Yes.
In the fitness tests.
Oh, yes.
That's your standard for females. And so that one for fitness. And then the other thing is like once you join a team, just be a sponge and like try to learn everything and put your ego to the side. And if someone's trying to give you feedback, you say, okay. And then if there's another time they're giving you feedback, okay. And like, just take it all in because there's a story I like to tell is like one of my teammates, Sammy Sullivan, joined our team just before the Paris Olympics. And I have never seen someone like rise to the top so fast. And the reason and how she did that was she was a sponge and she put her ego to the side and she just said, okay. And really, when someone gives you feedback, you sometimes want to be like, but what about this? Or what about that? Like, no, just say it. Like, they just want the best for you and try to remember that. So, yeah. And then just be a good teammate. Like, I've seen multiple elite athletes come through the program and not make the team because they're not a good person.
Yeah. There's really something to be said for being humble and being a good person and looking out for each other. I mean, for you to be able to say, you've never failed, never not won a fitness test, but also it's really important to be coachable. It's really important to be a sponge. I think that really speaks to your humility, but also your maturity around sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
So I think if you learn those 3 things early on, you'll be successful. And obviously hard work, like put in the time, put in the effort.
Nicole's formula to be excellent at sport, just like eat really well, train really hard, beat up on the boys, and get as much coaching as you can. Did I cover it?
Yep. Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll write that on a T-shirt or something. No, actually, my dad, I do have merchandise that say like all about attitude.
Really?
Yeah, my dad used to tell me that early on. It's like, you're gonna receive bad information or like life's gonna suck at times, but like it's how you respond and it's all about your attitude and that will determine where you go.
I love that.
Yeah.
So much. You've shared so much wisdom with us today about sport, about your career. So tell us like what's on the horizon for you and what are you looking forward to?
I'd say like just on the horizon, it's just keep training. I like the saying for me is like, I can't control other people, but I can control myself. So it's beat Nicole Heavirland each day. And if I get better by 0.01%, I'm happy with that, each day. And that's the mentality I want to take into my day to day. And then also just enjoy the journey. It's like, I love just meeting all the Olympic athletes here and getting to know them and their story and how they got into their sport and try to make a difference wherever I go and share a little love.
Yeah. That's all any of us can do, right? Is learn from each other and try to make the world a better place along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap, Nicole, I want to take it to the last lap. So if you, Nicole Heavirland, were the answer to a sports trivia question, what would you like that sports trivia question to be?
So my trivia question would be, what athlete went to West Point for college basketball but ended up being a 3-time Olympic rugby player?
Nicole Heavirland, the one and only.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today. For fans who want to follow along with whatever you do next in your athletic career, what is your Instagram handle?
It's going to be Nicole 406 Heavirland. 406 is Montana area code. So you'll always remember that.
She's loyal to home, you guys. Awesome. Nicole, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Athlete Actually. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, rate, and share with someone who should be part of the conversation. To learn more about how brands are partnering with pro women athletes, visit ParityNow.com.